Done? Oh. Okay, good morning, everyone. Let's begin here on Daf Ein Tes Amud Bet. We're up to Kichol. That's about 15 lines up by the two dots. That's Pei Amid Aleph 80A. Okay. Kichol Ketei Likhol Ayin Achat. That is the amount of makeup to the Mishnah said how much eye makeup to paint one eye. So the Gemara says Ayin Achat Halakachli. Why would anybody do that for only one eye, not two? Because the tznuot, when they wrap their faces to go out into the street, they cover their faces, and they only have one eye that's revealed, and that eye is the one that they apply this makeup to. So kochlot ayin achat. So the shear goes after the tznuot, even though ones that weren't tznuot would go out without their faces covered. But the shear doesn't follow them. The shear follows the better way. This was in those days that they covered their faces. That was the tznuot. Therefore, that was the way to do it. But today, where the minhag is not to cover the faces, so you don't have to cover your face. There's only certain parts that midoraita or erva you have to cover. It doesn't work with the minhag. It doesn't say, well, the minhag here is to do that. It doesn't help. But the face is something that is dependent on the times. And those times, that's the way the tznuot went. Meitvei, so the Gemara asks the kasha, on Rav Huna, Rabbi Shimon Elazar Omer, Kichol im d'refuah, k'dei lichol ayin achat, v'im d'kashet b'shtei einayim. It says here that if it's for refuah, then it's one eye. But if it's to adorn, to lekashet, to beautify, right? Then it's two eyes.
When do you use makeup for refuah?
So refuah, we had the kilor. Remember, we had the kilor before, this like bandage they put over their eye.
Cover up that thing that came out.
Right, the thing that they put on their eye that you used to wash with the water.
That
there was some sort of potions they made up that had this kechel in it for the eye. So that was for one eye. But Rav Huna said that even when for the tznuot, when they adorned it, when they used it as makeup, they used only one eye. So the Gemara answers, Targum Ahil B'Reid Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani, Kitanyahu, that braita that said that when you do it for makeup, it's two eyes, is Bi'iraniot, with girls who live in the villages. So in the villages, it's a very much more of a modest place, and there's not a lot of there's not a lot of parties or things that are going on. So there they don't have to cover their faces. There wasn't a lot of lightheadedness. It was a serious place. There was the 20 families lived in the village. Everybody was working, and the girls were working, and everybody did what they had to do, and there was no fooling around. So therefore, they were okay with the girls walking out with their faces uncovered. Therefore, the way to use the makeup was for both eyes. Okay, let's continue now. Shava. Wax kedeliten al pi nekev katan. That's enough wax to put over a hole, to stuff up a hole, small hole that's made in a barrel. So, what is the barrel storing? So the Braita said the barrel is storing wine. Wine is much more, its viscosity, its liquidity, it just flows out much quicker than honey or oil. So even a tiny hole in the barrel is already a hole that's significant that you have to cover up. So therefore the shava that covers that is less than the shava that would cover the hole for the oil barrel or for the honey barrel. So here it's a chumrah, what it's telling you. It's for the wine barrel, which is even smaller, the amount of wax. The amount of wax that could stuff up the holes that are needed to stuff up in the wine barrel. Devek, how much glue? To put at the head on the top of the beam. So what does that mean? What are you using This is, they would have this long tube or pole, and at the end of it, they would stand it up, and at the end of it, they would make like a flag. It would have a small stick sticking out, and they would smear it with a lot of glue. And they would put it up, that high pole, in places where these birds that they wanted to catch flew. And they would wait till they landed on it, and they were stuck there. That's the way they trapped them. Zefet v'gafrit, tar or sulfur or pitch, exactly, I'm not sure exactly how to translate. Kidei lasot, the Mishnah said to make a hole. Tana kidei lasot nekev katan. In order to make a small hole. So what's this small hole? It's that small hole in that tube where they put the raw silver, the mercury, inside. So that's what they stuffed up with this tar and pitch. So when they wanted to take a little bit out, they would make a hole inside of it, and then they would stuff it up again with this zefet and gafrit. That's the amount that you need from zefet and gafrit. Chasit, k'dei lasot pikur. Chasit is chopped up levena, chopped up earthenware, crushed bricks. K'dei lasot pikur. In order to make the pikur, so Rashi said, all the way back, the last pikur, meaning they had to like stuff up that little hole. Remember we spoke about it with the goldsmiths. They had a little hole inside the oven where they put the blower, so to speak, the mafuach, the thing that made the fire, the fire blower. And in order, they would place this charasit, this crushed brick. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Kedei lasot pitput," enough to make a pitput. Pitput is this, like this tripod. Remember we had this tripod? Like a base, basically, to put your pots on it, or to put this crucible on it. So the Gemara says, the main of the Shur Rabbi Yehuda Nafish, you're going to tell me that Rabbi Yehuda's amount seems to be greater than the Chachamim's amount. Says the Gemara, "Hakaim the Shur Rabbanan Nafish." But we already know that the Rabbanan's shiur is larger than Rabbi Yehuda's earlier in the Mishnah. The Tanan, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, midas mina lekoton. The Chachamim said, how much reed do you have to take out to be chayav? The amount is to hang the pots, the sieve and the sifter, which is a larger amount than the mina likoton, which is when the person measures out a string to bring to the shoemaker to make for his child. So you see that Rabbi Yehuda's shiur was more machmir because it was a smaller shiur. So why isn't it more machmir over here? So first of all, what type of question is that? Since Rabbi Yehuda was more machmir once, he has to feel it over here, he has to be machmir all the time. He has to follow the chumrah forever. So the Rishonim explained that the Gemara said before, you remember that if something is shchicha and lo shchicha, then you follow the shchicha even the kula. So the machloket is, that was the Gemara on the last page. The machloket over here, the Rishonim explained, is that they have something that's commonly used. They're both two purposes that are commonly used. So then we said, you have to go to chumrah. Okay? But what happens if one is very commonly used and one is commonly used? That's these cases. So the Gemara is saying, since we see that Rabbi Yehuda said you have to go after the less commonly used, l'chumra, by the story of where? Of the child's shoe. And why did Rabbi Yehuda say so? Because it was enough commonly used for children's shoes not to be pushed away. You can't say, oh, you're not common. You're like the case of that's not common. Because it's not shchicha v'lo shchicha. It's shchicha harbe and shchicha. It's very, very used and commonly used. And Rabbi Yehuda said you have to reckon with the usage that was commonly used. So therefore he should do that over here as well. Because over here it's the same situation. It was more commonly used. It was very commonly used for this pit put. On the other hand, it was also commonly used, not as much, but for the lasot pi kur, which is a small shiur, so you should go to the small shiur. That's what the Gemara is asking. So therefore, the Gemara is saying, how did he change? So the Gemara says, Eima kadei losud pit put kira ketana. When he said to make a pit put, he didn't mean to build up this tripod, which is a much larger shiur than the pikur. He meant the amount to fix it if it breaks, which is a much smaller shiur than even the lasot pikur. Okay, subin kedelitin al pikur shel tzarfei zahav. Okay, some take these words out. The Mashal takes these words out because we'll talk about it soon. Torah hamoitzi seyar kedei legabel bo et atit. If someone carries out hair, okay, now hair was used to make mortar into a nicer thing because it makes it stick better and come together. So, the amount of hair that's significant is the amount of hair that they use when they mix it into mortar. Okay, now what was the mortar? The mortar was the amount that they put in one revi'it of the bad water. Remember what they had? So whenever you make that amount of mortar, whatever the ratio of how much hair, they would use hair for that mixture, that is the amount of hair. What about tit itself? Lasot pikur. Shotzef itself. What about if you take out mixed mortar already? So it's enough in order to close off that hole so that air shouldn't get in the tzarfei, in the pikur of the crucible of the tzarfei zov. Sid, kedei lasud. Remember the Mishnah said, enough to take off the hair to use as plaster for the girls, for the small girls. Tana kedei lasud etzba ktana shebebanot. Now, what was the purpose of this sid? The Rishonim say that when the little young girls would use it, the plaster on their body, and then they would peel it off. It would help them begin getting their periods, and that was what Bulgarit would use it if she wasn't seeing any blood. So she would want to already start this process. She would use it for that. Also, it was made to take off hair, like a waxing. And it also was used to beautify their skin, because when they would peel it off, their skin would get red. So it was a way it was like a makeup. So they would take it off, and that's what would happen. So it says over here, even one small finger of a girl is enough. Okay?
What's kind of an exact measurement of what a little finger of a girl is? Isn't that very big?
The pinky of a girl? An average pinky of a small girl.
I'm saying, I know, but I'm saying surprised they're not even giving you a little bit more detail. You're talking about carrying on Shabbat, so it's not like whatever. Oh, like this go, more like, oh, this is the. No, they're usually a little bit more.
Because there's hair that grows on the pinky. The average size pinky is not an average thing. It's not detailed enough. Basically, you take a young girl and see how big their pinkies are. They're usually about. So you're saying, there's differences.
I'm just saying, very, very.
You're saying that there's differences. It's not enough.
Young girl mean? How old does that mean? Just saying.
Uh-huh.
I guess they all knew what the size of the little finger of a girl was.
We already had a lot of these types of shurim. I think your question is I think you could ask on all the cases almost, like the P of the crucible, like I'm saying. Is this enough? Yeah, but I thought I was missing a little bit drop. It's a good shaila. I don't know the answer exactly. I'm not sure.
If you're going to go through the motions and go through the whole of you're going to tell me you can't carry this, you can't carry that. You're going to tell me, you can't expect me to just know. Meaning, if I know, even back in the day, like some of these things, something the size of a pea is the size of a pea. I'm just saying, it's not like that. We're talking about carrying on Shabbat. It's not like.
I think it's more like that. Those were the actual sizes when people would go out. For instance, today, if you're a bike rider and someone's like, you need something to plug your flat tire, you're talking about this size of a plug. So I'm guessing back in the day when you're doing something like that, it was like, oh, we need this amount of size to put.
That's right.
That's the amount of size. It was just
right.
something. Today we don't have it because we have no idea.
Right.
But it's a common size that this is what you need. You need a
excellent.
fluid amount.
What he's saying is that it's not really the size of the pinky. It's the size that they would use for the small pinky, which was already a set size. Yeah, I get maybe. Now the Gemara says what they used it for. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav. Binot Yisrael shegilu pirkan, velo gilu shonim. Once the Binot Yisrael came, they already had shtei se'arot, but they weren't the age yet, and they want to remove their hair because they weren't of age that they should have hair. Binot aniyim toflototan bisid. They would smear them in this plaster. Binot hashirim toflototan bisolet. The wealthy girls, those are the poor girls. The wealthy girls would use fine flour, and that's nicer than using the plaster. Binot melachim, princesses toflototan b'shemen amor. They would use the shemen of mor. Shenemar, it says by Esther, Shisha chadashim b'shemen hamor. That there was 6 months that they used b'shemen amor in order to beautify the girls who were candidates to marry Achashverosh. Over there it says by Esther. My shemen amor, what is that? Rav Huda bar Chia Amar, stachat. It's tachat. What is that exactly? The Torah calls it Mar Deror, which we say that's the name of Mordechai, because that's what the Targum says for Mar Deror, the type of Bisamim. It says Mar Dechai. Okay? Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba Amar Shemen Zayit shelo yiviyah shlish. It's oil that was extracted from olives that did not yet reach a third of their size. And it's called mor because it was very bitter. Tanya, we looked at the Braita, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, and piknon shemen zayit shelo hevia shlish. And piknon is brought down in the Mishnah Menachot. And what is it? It's oil, it's olive oil that the Mishnah is disqualifying for using for the Menachot. You know, you have to have olive oil in the carbon mincha and the flour offering. So the Mishnah there in Menachot says, Ampiknon is not kasher for that. Why? And what is it? Rabbi Yehuda says it's shemen zayit that didn't have a shlish. V'lama sachinoto. So why would the princesses use it? Shemashet aser u'ma'aden abasar. Because not only does it remove the hair, but it makes the flesh, the skin, much nicer as well. Rav Bibi havele brato, taflo ever ever. Rav Bibi had a daughter, and he would smear her skin one limb at a time until all of her limbs were very red and beautiful. Okay? And he wanted to do that because the Gemara says that people should do things to make people want to marry their daughters. So this was like a makeup. V'shokal bo arba me'ed zuzi. And he was able to receive for her dowry, 400 zuzi. Okay? This is what she was worth after he did this. By the way, the reason why he did it one limb at a time is because it would make you very hot. If you do the whole body in one shot, it's dangerous. There was a guy that lived in the neighborhood, Havele Brata. He also had a daughter, the guy, and he wanted to beautify her, just like Rav Bibi did to his daughter. Tafle b'chad zimna. So he did her whole body in one shot, umeita, and she died. Omar, the guy said, Kota Rav Bibi livrati. Rav Bibi killed my daughter. Okay? Omar Rav Nachman, Rav Bibi d'shasei shichra. Boyan benosei tifla. Rav Bibi, he used to drink a lot of beer. So therefore his daughters needed to beautify themselves with the sid because they had a lot of hair. Because what happens is the beer darkens the skin and it also increases the hair growth. But we that don't drink so much beer, our daughters don't need, they're naturally beautiful, and they don't need to be smeared in this plaster.
Are you saying that because Rabbi Bibi, did the girls should be drinking beer, or Rabbi Bibi drank beer so his DNA said, oh, now the girls come out with hair?
I was thinking, I had the same shaila, I'm not 100% sure. I think it means everybody, even the girls did. But I don't know.
I mean, it says, but we who do not drink beer in our households, meaning that Rabbi Bibi definitely gave the beer to the girls.
That's what I think, yeah. Meaning it doesn't mean the DNA, you know. I don't think. It means that Rabbi Bibi in his household, he drank a lot of beer. There was a lot of beer going on. Fine. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Is that the way it is today also? I never heard this, but I don't know. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, could they lawsuit kilkul? What is it?
It's state beer. Nobody drinks state beer.
Oh, right. So maybe you're saying.
I'm saying that.
Maybe it's still the same.
It might still be the same.
Right.
Nobody drinks it.
I hear. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, could they lawsuit kilkul? If you carry out plaster, how much plaster? So Rabbi Yehuda said, the amount is could they lawsuit kilkul. Not for the small finger of the girls, but rather in order to plaster kilkul. And then on the Chemia said, lasud undupi. So the Gemara wants to know what these things are. My kilkul, my undipi. Omar Rav, tzida ubat tzida. Tzida means in order to smooth out one side of your head, and andipi is batzida. That's they would put plaster. What do they have? They translate the word.
Under the temple.
Yeah, by the side of the head, right, under the temple. And andipi is batzida. That's underneath the temple. That's batzida. And what's tzida itself? The temple itself.
Yeah.
So they wanted to remove the hair. So you see that Nehemiah is being machmir. Why? Because the hair underneath the temple is less than the hair on the temples themselves. So the Gemara says, "Lemember the shur de Yehuda nafish." So Yehuda has a larger shir. Hakaim the shur de Rabbanan nafish. We asked this kasha before. That the Nehemiah was in the generation of Rabbi Yehuda, and he was from the Chachamim. So his shiur should not be smaller than Rabbi Yehuda's. It should be larger. So the Gemara says, "Zuta midrabanon v'nofesh midrab Nehemiah." The shir that Rabbi Yehuda said, however, is smaller than the Chachamim shir because they said it's the amount to put on a girl's little finger. But it was larger than Rabbi Nehemiah's. Rabbi Meitvei, so the Gemara asks a kasha. Omer Rabbi nirin div Rabbi Yehuda bechavut v'div Rabbi Nehemiah beveitzat asid. I feel that if you have sid plaster that was mixed with a lot of chavutis, with a lot of water, okay, and that was the type of plaster that they would remove the hair from the temples, so then I feel that Rabbi Yehuda is right. That's the amount. But I also side with Rabbi Nehemiah if bebeitzat asid. Beitzat asid is the plaster that was mixed with a very small amount of water, and they called beitzat asid because it ended up looking like an egg. Then that's the type that they use for the andipi. So it seems like there's two different types of mortar of plaster that they use to remove their hairs for different hairs. The and if you're telling me that kilkel is the tzeda and the andipi is the batzid, the idi chavut, both of them are basically in the same place, and they both use that really watery type of plaster. So it would be very funny to explain kilkel and andipi the way we explained it before after seeing this bright of Rebbe. Elam Rabbi Yitzchok Amri Devei Rabbi Ami Andipa. In the Beit Midrash of Rabbi Ami, they explain that the andipi in our Mishnah is a andipa. This is a type of vessel, utensil, that they had two holes on the top and on the bottom, and if they wanted to really fill it up, so they would stuff up the bottom hole. And Nehemiah is saying that the amount of sid that you have to carry to be chayav on Shabbat is in order to stuff up that hole. That's what andipi means. It means something else. You're right. Who's going to fill up a cup of wine or a utensil of wine that had a little plaster on the bottom? At the end of the day, the wine is going to eat at the plaster, and then it's just going to flow out. So why would a guy throw out his money? Ela Amar Rav Kahana, andipi is shnatot. What's shnatot? They're little like bolts. They bolt out outside of these utensils in order to show you, what level they're on. A gallon, or this, or that, right? A lug, 2 lugin. So they would plaster these things, these little bolts, so that people should be able to see them well. They would put a little plaster on them. So Nehemiah is saying that enough plaster to put around one of these measuring sticks that came out of the utensil. Like the Mishnah says in Menachot, that the keli that held a hin is 12 lugin, right? We say shlishit ahin, revi'it ahin, right? So the shnatot that were in the hin had these zizin, they were coming out. They were the shnatot. Ad kan the par, ad kan the ayil, ad kan the keves. Remember the par got a shlish, got a chatzi ahin. The ayil got a shlish ahin, a third of a hin, which was 4 lugin, and the keves got a quarter of a hin, which was 3 lugin. The ibayteim mayan dipa, another pshat in dipa is aputa. That's the forehead. So the forehead doesn't grow any hair, and they put the plaster there to be able to make the forehead red. V'chiha, that's the amount of plaster. V'chiha de'hu bar golul, t'ikal lebavel. There was a chacham from the Galil that came to Bavel. The Amrulei kum dreish lona b'ma'aseh merkava. Come and tell us all about the Ma'aseh Merkava, meaning the prophecy of Yecheskel ben Buzi that we actually read on Shavuot. Amr Lahu Ed, like, all about Hashem's throne and the Malachim there and everything, right? Very high. The secrets of Hashem's throne. Amr Lahu Edrosh Lahu Kedidarish Anechem Lechavre. The Nofko Ar Isa Min Koisul Mechose Be'andipi Umis. So he said, should I dash into you the way that Nehemiah dashed into his friend? The Nofkar Isa, in the middle of expounding, a wasp came out, or a hornet, exactly what that is, came out of the wall. And it bit him, it stung him in his andipi, which means his forehead. So we see that the language was used again for forehead, andipi. Umit, and he died. The omrulei mindilei dolei. Okay, the Gemara says that the Chacham said mindilei dolei. This happened to him from himself. So why? Because he decided to expound on these secrets in public, which he shouldn't have. So therefore, this is what happens to a person that does it. But I'll call panim, the Gemara is proving that the word andipi here was used as a forehead. So there's different pshatim in what Nehemiah meant in andipi. Says the Mishnah Hakdosha, Adama. Adama means earth, but it means like red earth. Red mortar earth that they used for seals around different things. So that was the purpose, and that what you'll be chayav if you take out a significant amount. Is kichotam hamatzufin. That's like the seal around the big, large bags that they would use on the ships to carry merchandise, either money or things. Different pshatim in the Rishonim. They would seal these bags with that amount of earth. That's the amount. It's the amount to seal up the letters. When they would send a letter, they would also seal it with wax. With what did you say? Wax. Not wax, with this adama, with the seal of adama. Okay, and that's less than the amount that they used. Okay. Zevel v'chol hadak. We already the Gemara brought this mish down before. Manure, or very fine sand. In order to fertilize one stalk of a cabbage. Kreisha, I think, is a leek. Okay, which is a smaller shear. Cholagas, thick, coarse sand. In order to place on a full calf of plaster. What that means, we'll see in the Gemara. The Gemara will explain what that means. Kaneh kedei lasot kulmus. Kaneh is a quill, right? That comes out of a bird. That the feather, the stick of the feather. That's enough to make a quill. Vimhaya ave omerusat. But if it was very thick, or it was broken, and now you can't use it as a kulmus. So what usage does it have? So all it was good for was firewood. So how much is significant? Enough of these kanez enough to cook a light egg of all the eggs, tirufa that was beaten, mixed like a scrambled, unetuna be'ilpas, placed into this pan. Now the Gemara will explain what that means exactly. It really means to fry a certain egg. We'll see which egg, and when the egg is scrambled, it's easier. So the amount of firewood, kulmus, to make that amount of fire that needs for that is significant. So the Gemara wants to know, al maloi kavsid, what is that? Tana, kedelitin al pi kavshel sayodim. The sayodim, the people that worked with plaster, they had some sort of utensil that was made out of iron, and it was like a spoon. And so the amount that they would place, however much coarse sand they would place on that pikaf shel sayodin, that's already enough. Mantana dechol ma'ala listed. Who says that sand is good for plaster? Amar Rav Chizda, Rabbi Yehudi, the Tanya, lo yosod adam es beis habisid. Today, after the Churban Beit HaMikdash, a person is not allowed to plaster his home in nice white plaster. So he should be reminded of the Churban Beit HaMikdash. Elim kein erev by teven oichel, unless he mixed into it straw or sand, which weakens the appearance and dims the appearance of the brightness of the plaster. Rabbi Yehuda Omer teven mutar chol asun teshuhu taksid. Chol you can't do, because when you mix sand into it, even though it's true that it darkens the plaster and it dims its brightness, but it makes it traksid. Traksid means it strengthens it. And this strengthening is actually a beautification of the plaster, and therefore you're not allowed to plaster your home with such good quality sid. So you see from Rabbi Yehuda that adding sand into the plaster actually makes it better. So therefore that was the shi'ur in the Mishnah that says when you add that to the plaster. Rava Amar afilu teim Rabbanan, even if you go with the Rabbanan that allow a person to use sid that had sand mixed into it because it dims it, kilkuloi zehu tikunoi. Its destruction, which means the fact that it becomes darker and ruins the sid, is its tikkun, is also the reason why you're not allowed to carry it on Shabbat, because it's a significant amount. Why? Because you had to put sand in. Because if you don't put sand and you buy the really nice white one, you can't use it in your house. So the fact that you're destroying it, it makes it usable. So therefore that's the shear. So even if you don't say that chol is so great, chol is actually not good for it, it still is what gives it the license, gives you the license to use it, and therefore that is the shear. Kone, the feather from the bird, kadei lasot kulmus, in order to make a quilt. Tona, kulmus hamagir lekishre etzba oisav. It has to be able to reach his knuckles, which means it has to be comfortable enough for him to write with. Okay? It can't just be a tiny little thing that he can write with. It's possible, it has to be comfortable. Ravashi, kesher ha'elyon or kesher ha'tachton? Is that the upper knuckle, or kesher ha'tachton, which means the next set of knuckles, the top one that attaches the fingers to the hand, or this one? So the Gemara says teku. Let this question stand. V'im haya'aveh. If the kulmus was very thick or broken, so then you used it for firewood to fry eggs. Tono was taught in a braita. Trufa b'shemen unetuna be'ilpas. It had to be beaten with oil and placed in a frying pan. Now, if you beat it with oil, it would cook faster. And therefore, you need less and less kones to make a fire. Because the fire that you need could be smaller, because it would cook quicker. Amalei Ma'abrei Davinu Levrei. Ma'abrei Davinu told his son, Mi shmielach beitza kala maihi. Have you heard what this means? Beitza kala, a light egg, like all the other eggs. Amalei biasa de tziltzala. That's the egg of a tziltzala. A tziltzala is a small bird, and some say it's called a tatzil. Rashi and Bava Basra says it's a type of dove. Others say it's a turtle dove. Okay, so my timer. So Ma'abrei they're going to ask the son, what's the reason that bird's eggs are called the light egg? Mishum de zutra, because it's a very small. It's very tiny. Maybe it's the tziparta, which is even smaller. Tziparta was a bird that they knew about. I don't know, hummingbird. I don't know what it is. Ishtik. So his son was quiet. Then he told his father, Midi shmilach baha. Have you heard anything? Yes, I did. Beitzas tarnagoyles. It's the regular chicken's egg. Umay korlo beitzakal. So why is it called the light egg? Even though you'll find eggs that are smaller than the tarnagoyles, but the lightest egg, in order to cook, the easiest egg, the egg that gets cooked quickest, is the tarnagolet. Umayshno kol shiurei Shabbat kigrogeret, the hacha kibeitza. Why is it that in all the malachot that have to do with food, like kitzira, techina, harvesting, grinding, carrying, everything on Shabbat, whenever it has to do with food, is always a dried fig. Suddenly here, you're telling me that you have to cook an egg. Okay? This is more than that share. So you're being machmir. Amalei hochi amar Rav Nachman. Ki grogeret mi beitza kalo. How much of a beitza kalo? One grogeret. Which means one dried fig of the egg. The egg is larger than the dried fig. So when we say you need enough firewood to fuel up a fire that can cook a beaten egg in oil in a frying pan, and it means a chicken egg, it doesn't mean the whole egg. It means the part of the egg that will equal a dried fig. We're just using the type of thing that you have to fry is the egg. But the amount is not the egg. The amount is the dried fig in the egg. Okay? So basically, so let's get that clear here. If you see somebody that has, what are they called in English? I would know. The plume, the what? Like the stick that goes, that holds the feather in a bird. That you make a quill out of. The quill sticks. Whatever they're called. But you can't use it as a quill. The stem, yeah. The feather, whatever. So, you can't use it as a quill. So the shear is enough of those to be able to create a fire that can cook. And this was known in those days. Same answer. You knew what they were doing. Right? They had stoves. That's what they did. You need to, I should come?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So that was the amount. In order enough of those sticks to be able to make a fire that can cook up a beaten, the size of a dried fig, of what material? Of what? Of an egg, a chicken egg that was beaten with oil in a frying pan. There was an amount. Okay, let's go a little weiter here.
Why couldn't they just say that?
They did.
They said from the beginning, a dry fig size of an egg that's being cooked. From the beginning.
The Mishnah said it. Didn't the Mishnah say that? What was the Mishnah? Let's look at the Lashon. Kedei levashel bo beitza kala shebebeitzim terufa unetuna beilpas. The Mishnah said it. It just didn't say there was a chicken egg. Because the Chachamim understood that. Okay. Now, bones. Okay, you carry out a bone. Are you chayav? Is there any significance to a bone? Can you do anything with a bone? Yes. If you have a bone, the sides, kedei la'asot tarvad. In order to make a spoon, a small spoon. The doctors would use this small spoon. Okay? Rabbi Yehuda omer kedei la'asat mimenu chaf. The Gemara at the beginning is going to think that a chaf means a lock that was made out of a bone. And that was greater than this little spoon. Okay? So, we'll talk about that in the Gemara. Zechuchit, how much glass? Kedei ligror bo rosh hakikar. In order to scrape off, they had this little stick made out of wood that was very sharp, and the weaver would use it, okay, in order to arrange his sticks, the warp and the woof, the strings that would go through, and it was like a sharp end. Okay, so how did they sharpen the end in order to pick at the strings, at the threads that got out of place? They would sharpen it with glass. So the amount of glass that they would use to sharpen, it was a known thing. Again, Michael, that was the same. It was a known set amount. That was a piece of glass that they used. Tziror or even, if someone carries out a broken piece of stone or a little stone, kedei lizrok be'of. It's the amount that can scare away a bird. We'll talk about that. No, it has to be large enough to scare away an animal. Because a person's not going to use a stone to scare away a bird because he could just scream at it and it will fly away. So it has to be chashuv enough to throw away, to scare away an animal. So the Gemara goes back now to the shir of etzem. Says the Gemara, "L'meimra the shir of Rabbi Yehuda nafish, hakaimla the shir of Rabbanan nafish." Again, Rabbi Yehuda's shir over here is larger than the Rabbanan, because he said the amount of bone that you need is in order to make a lock, which is larger than this little spoon. And Rabbi Yehuda is not following his shita always that it's smaller. Omar ulo chape potachat. Actually, the shear is not to make a complete lock, but rather it's there for the teeth that are part of the key that opened up this lock. And that's smaller than the shear of the chachamim of the spoon that the doctors would use. Tanu Rabbanan chape potachat, the teeth of the lock, tehorin. Okay? They are tahor. The lock would come with these teeth. They are tahor because they don't have any usage. But kva'an ba'potachat, once you already establish them in the key, tme'in, now they have a use. Okay? Shelgal v'shelgal. But if you have these locks that were placed in a gateway, badelet, even if you already attached the locks with all these teeth of the keys, ukva'am b'masmerim, tehorin, they're still tahor, shekol ha'mechubel l'karka hareu kekarka. Because anything attached to the ground is part of the ground and it's not mekabel tuma. Zichuchit kedei ligror bo, enough glass in order to sharpen this utensil that the weaver would use. Tana sichuchit kedei liftzoa ba shnei minin keachat. Sichuchit is the same thing as zichuchit, it's glass. And the reason why it's called sichuchit is because everybody was able to be soche. Soche means to look through. And zichuchit means zakah, clarity. You're able to see it. So the Braita says, enough liftzor b'shnei minin kachat. In order to slice 2 threads that were in the loom in one shot. Okay? I think it's the same shir as the Mishnah shir. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov said, in order to scare away an animal, that's in condition that the pebble or the large stone would actually reach the bird. Okay. I don't know what the halach is. Okay, fine. I don't know, maybe they should wait. We're middle of the but I'm not sure. Could they wait a minute? Yeah, it's Talmud Torah B'Rabbim. Quite behind. Yeah, another 5 minutes. That's it. Okay?
Can we do a switch? I just need my phone to get me into the gate.
Oh, okay. Man, you want to take my? We have it in my car.
Oh.
That piece in my car.
Yeah, I have it in my car too. Actually, I just forgot. But you guys, people are
Okay,
gonna call the
you need your phone.